It's been a year since Amazon publicly announced its private label Accelerator program. So I think it's time for me to do a proper update video. For some of my new subscribers, you might not be all that aware of the Amazon Accelerator and what it is. And that is by design with Amazon. They don't specifically talk too much about their private label accelerator. They have been quite secretive since that public announcement. But for those that are curious about what it actually is and want to get a deep dive into what the Amazon Accelerator is, I actually made several videos that covered everything from what specifically the accelerator was, how should a brand think about the value exchanges, what is actually in the contract you do get approved to be in the accelerator, and a number of other things in those videos. And I'll pop up that for you guys right here. You guys can watch that playlist of videos. I guarantee it's a lot of really good information if you are interested in the Amazon Accelerator or just Amazon private label as a whole. But just to give you guys a quick recap on the program, quick and dirty for you guys. So manufacturers and brand owners go on to a Amazon Our Brands kind of application form and they fill out one. Amazon then basically selects the best applicants that presented kind of a combination of a category brand product mix that worked well for what Amazon was looking for their portfolio. These approved applicants basically get into this accelerator program that gives them access to exclusive features that are pretty much only for the program, or they are extremely cost prohibitive for kind of Amazon sellers or Amazon vendors if they're not of a certain size. After the applicants get into the accelerator, they're honestly on their own. They're left to build their brand and their products and get them to sell, get some velocity on the marketplace on their own, just like any other seller or vendor does. And then based on the performance of that brand or manufacturer, essentially then Amazon has the right within the contract to purchase that brand from you, and it essentially moves over from an accelerator brand over to an actual owned Amazon private label brand. So for those that are super familiar maybe with private label manufacturing and are asking maybe how this is different than traditional relationships with retailers, Amazon Private Label Accelerator essentially takes the traditional relationship and kind of flips it on your head, because essentially you would have Amazon go and kind of quote out or spec out different private label products from the manufacturer. They would give them all the things they're looking for. Amazon would also build the brand and have everything from those assets already done for the contract manufacturer. They're just basically having a contract manufacturer do the actual manufacturing part. But this is actually having the contract manufacturers or the brand owners actually do the building of everything. They're actually doing all the ideation. They're actually doing all of the building of the brand on the platform based around the actions in which they believe is best to grow the brand. So Amazon is kind of getting away from all the kind of messy parts of it. They're essentially letting the brand and the manufacturer kind of do everything on the platform, and then based around if they hit on a winning combination, then Amazon will buy it from them and then run it from that point on. So this helps Amazon not waste a bunch of resources, be that time or money. They essentially get to see what winning combinations end up happening, and then they get to throw all of their energy towards those winning combinations. So it saves Amazon a ton of time, saves Amazon a ton of money, so they can move and focus on things that are more important, like the winning combinations have already proved themselves on the platform. So when Amazon publicly announced this private label accelerator program in October of 2018, it was immediately met with a bunch of people in maybe the CPG, the grocery industry, a bunch of other consumer categories, talking about how this was the end of their ability to make money on Amazon. They needed to get off the platform. They needed to start going towards direct-to-consumer or maybe going towards some other e-commerce retailer, because Amazon was going to crush all of the branded items. This was a complete overreaction. I think everybody at this point realizes that. So anybody that was kind of thinking that it was going to crush anybody, at this point have kind of walked back those comments and said, hey, maybe this is not exactly as strong as we thought it was going to be. But But I could totally understand where they're coming from. And honestly, if you watch some of my previous videos, I was extremely bullish on the idea. I still am extremely bullish, but I'm sort of long-term bullish. I was long-term bullish at the beginning. I wasn't necessarily thinking this was going to have takeovers right off the bat. Amazon could create short-term takeovers right off the bat. And honestly, at the beginning of this program, they were extremely aggressive with some questionable tactics and strategies to make sure that these accelerator brands got prime real estate and was really cross-promoting them with some of their fast-selling branded products. And that actually got Amazon in a lot of trouble with some of the government agencies. That's why you're seeing some antitrust type things come up around Amazon now. That's still happening today. Amazon has kind of went through this cycle of either, kind of enhancing the accelerator brands really quickly and then kind of backing it off a little bit. You could see it just even recently in the last maybe 30 days or so that Amazon has started to come out with some new kind of tests, some new iteration tests on some of these aggressive tactics again around their private label accelerator brands. So I think Amazon is constantly playing this like cat and mouse game with the government and their sellers and brands, and really trying not to push too hard, but also trying to get the appropriate amount of data that they need for this program to be effective long term. But in the last few months, you've seen several of these original kind of pundits, analysts, people in the different industries that have kind of said, hey, this has not crushed our industry. That Amazon is still a very good digital channel for our sales. We've been able to effectively get revenue from this. We haven't seen all that much difference in terms of their private labels taking over categories. Now, they have had some really strong penetration in some categories, but for the most part, the private labels haven't really hit the level that these original commenters made. And Amazon in this whole thing has not ever really said that they're trying to take over categories or anything like this. So the expectation was from these original commenters. It wasn't from Amazon as a whole. But to me, the Amazon Accelerator has done exactly what it has intended to do. First off, it's saved Amazon a ton of time and money, resources in creating private label offerings in the categories in which they believe there's a ton of opportunity for them. These 625-ish accelerator brands helped Amazon spot the different winning combinations within all these different categories that these 625 accelerator brands act and sell within. They also were able to see a bunch of different sequences in which these brand owners and manufacturers, which levers they pulled, all kinds of different strategic ways that these brands kind of got bigger or maybe failed. These are all things, good or bad, that works within a bigger aspiration that Amazon has. Because the point of this was not to create short-term winners. It was to acquire tons of specific data that could be used for its private label ambitions long term. Amazon has never been a short-term thinker. All of their actions usually are leaning towards the long term. So anything that they're able to pick up on the short term is obviously just icing on the cake. Their eye is on the prize long term. But to kind of transition this video into categories, consumer packaged goods categories that I care most about, these are going to be more like functional foods, functional beverages, and nutritional supplements. I have been long tracking how many accelerator brands are on the global platforms. You have about 37 of them. I actually track all of these in a Medium article. All of the links are down below for my Medium account. I update that article every time I see something new on the platform. So this is something that you guys want to make sure you guys are following along with if you guys are interested in this subject. Out of those 37 or so accelerator brands, have any of them really made like a huge splash in the categories? Now, if we're not considering some of the very large Amazon private labels, so I'm talking about Solomo, Amazon Elements, or like a Whole Foods 365, if you take those out of the equation, then you're kind of left with, in my opinion, maybe 3 brands in the last year that have done something good. Now, they haven't done anything where they've taken over and made a huge splash. Trust me, they're middle of the road at best. It does take time. I think anybody that has done a substantial amount of work in Amazon knows time on platform, time on marketplace is one of the biggest drivers. You have to be patient in a lot of cases to really build a sustainable listing. So 3 that I kind of highlighted, you could take a look at if you do click into that article or just maybe search on the Amazon platform. But we're going to be talking about Own Power, so OWNPWR. You have a brand called Flexitarian, which is a play off of the kind of plant-based vegetarian term that has become extremely popular. Maybe one of the reasons why this has been so popular on the platform, because it's playing off of some maybe non-branded search terms around flexitarian lifestyles. And then the last one is Revly. Now, I don't have necessarily maybe like Jungle Scout or something that's tracking these specific brands to tell you exactly what the revenue bases are on these, but I will say that those have been, to me, the best performers. Now, just to end this video, I want to kind of give you guys my final thoughts. Retailers and brands are kind of quickly blending together. They're not as separate as they have been in the past. You have this idea, are they friend or foe now? And I think this is going to continue to happen. You have brands that are going direct to consumer, so they're essentially acting as retailers now. You have retailers that are starting a bunch of private labels, so they're essentially acting as brands. So you're having this kind of mashup where you're having some competition where normally everybody were friends and partners, and now you're kind of worried private label is going to cause a bunch of hurt, direct-to-consumer sales is going to hurt our business as a retailer. Those are things that are going to continually happen. This is a very big topic of conversation, private label as a whole, within the retail, CPG, grocery industries as a whole. This is something that comes up all the time. When I was just at Grocery Shop Conference, it was probably the most prominent thing that was getting talked about across all of the different educational sessions. What has happened is that consumers, when they did go to trade down with private label around, honestly, I believe it was around like kind of the Great Recession time when you had to trade down, they realized that private label today is much different than private label of the past. And all of these kind of generics that you grew up with that maybe had poor quality or didn't taste right or whatever kind of things you thought of maybe when you were a kid no longer applied anymore. Things were pretty much the same. In most cases, it was produced at the same place as the branded item, or even the branded item had manufacturing that they created for some of their biggest partners on the retail side. Private labels today outpace branded items by 4x. So it becomes a big business, not at the point of maybe UK, I think is 20% or so of the overall market is private label. I think private label today in the US is maybe somewhere around 6%. So you still have a lot of probably leg room for it to grow. So I don't think this is going to be a trend that ends anytime soon. But to combat this, brands need to really focus on what is that feeling that you're giving customers? Like, what is the actual experience in which a customer is getting by your branded products? And whatever that is, you need to make sure you're tripling down, quadrupling down, whatever it is, to make sure you are getting that customer to understand why they're shopping with you over just buying a similar substitute private label product. Now, there is levers at Amazon specifically and why everybody is kind of concerned around the private labels with Amazon. But to me, only time will tell if it's actually brands that are stronger or it's a marketplace that is stronger. We're gonna have to see how that plays out in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you wanna help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.